Alright guys, I'ma just come out and say it. Bondman's a player, bruh. Hello? He's getting all these women from every neck of the woods, man. He practices inclusion. Like a super spy should. But in all seriousness, I like this episode a lot. Bondman stuff aside, I like that this episode focuses on Yuri, and we get to see Yuri's perspective in his day-to-day life as a state security person. And we get to see that that job is not as black and white as we think it is. There's a lot of gray. I love that they included the Omacs, too, at the end of the episode. I don't remember them doing that in season 1. So that's actually really cool to me that they're finally adapting that and putting it at the end of episodes like this. That's kind of sick. That's how you know Spy X Family is a super popular series. If they're doing that, they're like, we need as much content as we can. Pump out the Omacs. But let's get straight into it and talk about Spy X Family, Season 2, Episode 3 today. So our episode begins today with a little bit of espionage as we hear, it would appear that our targets have entered the room. There's 3 of them, and the 2 in the back probably have bigger builds. They're avoiding standing next to any windows and doors, and judging by their footsteps, they're definitely pros. And it's here as our deal begins, and we've confirmed that what they're selling is information. Yuri says, I've confirmed the deal. As we hear, alright boys, let's head in. And it's here they bust in saying, we're with the State Security Service. You're all under arrest on suspicion of being spies. And naturally, they're not taking that sitting down as their leader tries to escape out the window. But too bad for him, a sister-obsessed man is waiting for him out there, as he easily takes him out, and tells him, good evening, Mr. Vile Trash. We have a wonderful cell reserved just for you, so please, let's head to the station. And it's here our mission is successful. And immediately as Yuri heads back to the headquarters and is told, good job, he's also told, we need you to take care of this fellow next. No breaks. As we hear, have you heard about these various books and articles popping up in the West that mock and slander Ostina? It's all nothing but base lies and conspiracy theories. And a lot of them are printed in Ostian underground presses. And among the writers, this name popped up. As we meet Franklin Perkin, age 39. He was a newspaper reporter during the previous administration, and he was arrested for aiding anti-government extremists. I want you to follow him and get the evidence we need, as well as track down the buyers of the articles. I want him dealt with before any of this influences public opinion. As Yuri says, I'm on it. But it's here his boss says, aren't we working Yuri a bit too hard? As Yuri swears he's fine, but he knows better, as Yuri says, showing contempt for your own country for chump change. I can't even stand the thought of this filth breathing the same air as my sister. Shit, man, if it was up to him, he'd be the only one breathing that air. As weird as that would be. But it's here. Our stakeout begins. On the 6th, subject wakes up at 7:21, a fairly early riser. Subject watches the television program, Good Morning Ostania. Subject curses at newscaster. 8:10, subject leaves for job at post office. Subject rides on third car in U8 train. At 12:06, subject goes to restaurant Fjord with coworker M. At 17:49, subject leaves work and goes to Central Market. At 18:33, subject returns home and watches television programs News 20 and Berlin in Love. Subject appears infatuated with the female lead. No further activities of note before retiring for the night. And as his boss starts reading this, he literally tells him to his face, you really didn't hold back on the details, Yuri. We don't need this much. As he tells him, you've been at this for 2 days without sleep. Switch out with someone else and get some rest. As Yuri tells him, I'm fine, as he hands him the report for the next day. As his boss reads it and we hear, on the 7th at 8:07, subject goes to work. has lunch at the restaurant Fajord and orders lunch set B. As he says Fajord, kinda sounds like you're, huh? As he tells him, you're clearly tired right now. Go get some rest, bro. As Yuri says, no, that always happens. And funny enough, I could actually see that happening all the time in his work. He would just write yours name randomly in there. I could 100% see that. But it's here as Yuri overhears this conversation. He finds out that Perkins here is overdue on his rent and he ain't paying the landlady. What is he, Peter Parker? You pay me rent. What are you doing? As we overhear Dad, I'm heading out for a bit. I made some food, so eat whatever you want. As Yuri's boss tells him, follow him. And it's here as they start following this man, we hear, is he being cautious of anyone following him? Because he's looking over his shoulder. As his boss says, or he's looking for something to write in his article. And we see that he's right on the money as we see he's going around town taking secret pictures, illegal by the way, trying to find anything he can use as propaganda against Ostina. He takes pictures of guys drinking in the street, and he even sees kids playing in the street with a replica Bond man gun, takes it from them, throws it in the trash, knowing they're gonna dig for it. And as they do, he takes pictures of them for propaganda. As he's already thought of the opening line of the article, overcome by poverty, street children desperately dig through trash for scraps. As the kids are like, what the hell, man? We're gonna tell the secret police on you. As he gets in their face and tells them, you little miser who keeps his wealth for himself and doesn't share it with others. Peoples whose ideals lean towards the West like yourself are the real ones who are gonna get arrested and killed. A hell of a thing to say to a kid, honestly, as Yuri wants to go take him out now, but his boss says no. Let him go until we find out who's buying his underground publications. And Yuri is heated. And it's here as we transition to our next scene with him writing this article. Yuri's obviously still listening into him. And it's here things get a little complicated as his father comes in and says, Frank, you better not be doing any dangerous work again. As he says, I'm not, Dad, go away. As his dad says, if you didn't have your odd sense of justice, you might still have your job at the newspaper. As we see, he still feels very strongly about that. As he tells his dad, what's so wrong about trying to improve the country my family lives in? Even now, we need money just to keep up this lousy living situation. If we had money, Mom would have still been here. As he says it, it's nothing. Just forget about it. And funny enough, guys, Yuri of all people can kind of relate to how he's feeling right now. More than most. As he types, is Perkins motivated by concern for his family? And for a split second, he hesitates. But then he scraps it. Because he still has a job to do for his family. And as we transition to our next scene and our tailing begins again, we hear he had no suspicious contacts or interactions that may lead to a buyer while at home or while he was out. Which means he has to do it at his place of work. And it's here while we're at his work and we see the mail cart come by, we hear, hey Joseph, I'll take care of these. Go ahead and take your lunch break, man. And it's here as he starts taking the card away, we see him move into action and take his letter out. As Yuri, watching him, says, so he was boldly mailing them after slipping through inspection, huh? As he says, if you go through with mailing that, you won't be able to talk your way out of this. And it's here we see he hesitates to do it, but nonetheless drops it in the cart, sealing his fate. And it's here as we transition to our next scene, we see he's heading out to work that day. But as he looks out the window, he's horrified to see Yuri and the state police waiting for him. As he knows his time's up. As he says, sorry, Dad, I might not be back for a while. And as he walks out there, we hear, Franklin Perkin, you're the one who wrote this, are you not? A redundant question. As Yuri says, we've already captured the buyer addressed here. Surrender. As Franklin says, you really bothered to wait outside for me. What kind state security service officers? As Yuri tells him, it's so your family doesn't have to see how pathetic you are. Don't get the wrong idea. And as they put the handcuffs on him, he says, me, who fought the government, and you, the government's dog. I wonder who's really the pathetic one here. But it's here Yuri tells him flat out, I would never do anything to make my family sad. Never. As that definitely hit home to Franklin. And as they're taking him away, Yuri says, I'll request that your father get some financial aid to get by. As Franklin stops and says, thank you. Now what he was doing isn't right, but he was doing it for his family. And Yuri, of all people, knows how that feels. And as we transition back to headquarters, we hear the chief say, you've been working hard, Yuri. I'm happy to hear that. It must be rather difficult working for a newbie. Don't let your stress build up, kid. As Yuri tells him, I think I'm quite suited for this job, actually. I'll use this momentum to capture Twilight and protect the peace of this nation. Good luck. As the chief tells him, I sure hope that's the case. And it's here as we transition to after work. We see Yuri goes to the Forger residence, obviously. As he's greeted by the whole family as he says, damn it, why are you here, Lloyd Forger? You should be at work, even at night, work 24/7. As Yor asks him if something happened. And as Anya reads his mind, he says, I honestly just felt like seeing you, sis. As we see Anya and Yor give him a little pat and say, good job at work today. I'll get some tea ready for you. And Yuri's over the moon right now, bro. He's so happy. Oh, my hard work's paying off. Yuri's still weird. Let's get that out the way. He's still weird, man. But he has good intentions. For the most part. And it's here. It's time to transition to super suave Bond man. As we see that even in the middle of a gunfight, our super spy can find love. Even in the middle of a desolate war zone between two feuding countries, love will always find a way with Bond man on the case. Even in the middle of a bomb crisis, Bond man will sweep this woman off her feet. Even in the middle of a desperate terrorist attack, love finds a way. Even in the middle of an evil organization trying to take over a world, it's time to go on a date. Even as we see Bond man's a bum who doesn't pay his rent too, also has a lot of noise complaints. He swoons his landlady. As you see Bond man and his harem of women have grown even bigger. But eventually, the straw will break the camel's back, guys, as we hear, who the hell are all these broads? Pick one already, damn it! As Bond man's like, I'm gonna make every last lady in the world happy. As he rightfully gets the shit kicked out of him, stabbed and shot right here. Can't forget zapped by an evil ray. As we hear, dealing with risk is just part of a spy's job. As we hear Anya say, I see. So this is what a flirting story's like. Now I can discuss this with Becky. Anya has become an adult. As Lloyd's just like, please don't do that. Don't do that, Anya. Please don't. And on that note, our episode ends. And it's just another great episode of Spy X Family today, guys. Like I literally said last week, I like that Spy X Family takes the time to focus on the other characters in the series because it makes a more flushed out cast of characters altogether. And I love that the series focuses on them. Yuri this episode, man, as ridiculous as he is, kind of creepy low-key too, he's got a tough job. He's got a really tough job, and we see he works himself really hard to do it. Probably too much, but still, everything's not as black and white as we think. The world is filled with gray, and we saw that firsthand today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode down below, because Spy X Family just continues to just be great every single week. But until next time, I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day. I will see you guys next time. Deuces.